Hello, I'm Noel, this is Antonia from Boxtail Soup Theatre Company, and this is another one of our Boxtail Scoops.
I was saying to Noel earlier, I feel like I should get on board with his actions.
I'm disappointed
these days,
that you haven't.
but it's just because I can't quite remember. I remember the box, and then I get a bit confused, and I want to do something else before
It's three moves.
I know it's 3 moves, but whatever. We have had a very busy week this week. I have been working on some costume mock-ups for the puppets. I've been trying to transform shirts into tailcoats for the men and dresses for the women. I've had a reasonable amount of success with my mock-ups, so that's great. So I'm now going to be moving on to making the real thing at some point. Noel has been making a scale model of the set so that we can get a sense of what it will look like, and we're pleased with that. I think we've got a few little tweaks we need to make, but generally it's going in the right direction. And we also went to the theatre.
Yes, which was amazing.
Which was absolutely fantastic. So we went and we had a production meeting at the Everyman Theatre in Cheltenham. We saw our friends, we chatted to people.
It was lovely for so many reasons. Yeah, just to be in a theatre was brilliant.
So that was great. But we're not going to talk about any of that, in fact, this week. This week we are going to focus on the creative process in a more global sense. Ooh. We will show you the things we've done this week, next week. But yeah, we really wanted to talk about this because it's something we feel strongly about.
And we've
sharing.
had a lot. We've been wrangling with a lot of ideas this week, so I think it's really affected us this week.
Yes, so it felt like the right moment to talk about it.
Yeah. So first of all, normally, I guess when we announce a show, or in most cases when anybody does, the things that you'll see from the outside are you'll see the announcement and you'll see the kind of the fanfare of going, we're going to be doing this show next. This is the title. Then a couple of months later, you'll see the finished result, and you might go and see the show or watch the movie or whatever it is. The stuff that you don't see is everything in between. And the funny thing now, I suppose, is that especially with things like Instagram, actually you do get a rose tinted look backstage. So you will get, while we're creating stuff, we'll be putting up pictures of, this is a beautiful puppet that we've made, and here's
a great idea we've had.
Wonderful thing that's happened, yeah. But it all tends to go on the very positive side. You don't really get to see the crushing self-doubt
the blind panic.
that fills the rest of the space that makes up the creative time. So
we thought we would show you first 2 images which we think represent the creative process really well. They'll come up on the screen now. We don't know the original source of these. We're going to try and find it. If we can credit the person who made them, we definitely will. Otherwise, if you're out there, let us know. We love these.
If we don't and you know who did it, then please
let us know. So they're things that we've often referred to. You found them a few years ago, actually, and we've been looking at them since. And they really encapsulate, I think, how the creative process is for, I would say, the majority of creatives, no matter what strand of the industry they work in, whether it's visual art, comedians, musicians. I think everyone has an affinity with these steps.
When we've spoken to other people, other artists, it's resonated with everybody you bring it up with. Everybody's like, yeah, I recognise that. That makes sense to me.
I think for me, the one that starts, this is awesome, this is tricky, this is rude word, I am rude word, this might be okay, this is awesome, is the one that really resonates. I feel that sort of, very much, it's like this sort of, oh gosh, oh god, oh what are we going to do? Oh, okay, I think it might be all right. And we've had a bit of that this week, where you start to not know where you're going with ideas. You've had these great ideas before, and then suddenly you're thinking, oh, maybe they're not so great, and you bang your head against the wall for a while.
Funnily enough, the one for me that resonates the most, I mean, I love that one, but it's the other one. It's the line graph that has the bit at the end, which is all the work while crying, which I very much connect with that. It's kind of a panic period beforehand and all the work while crying. And it's not that you haven't done anything before.
No.
You have. You've had to kind of work through these ideas and figure out how it's going to happen.
And build stuff. And
make it all cohesive, make it all work together somehow. And then you get to a certain point and it just becomes, okay, now it's got to get done. It's got to get done now.
All the things that you've been slightly procrastinating over that are a bit more tricky.
Yeah, it's time for 14-hour days.
Yeah,
just get
do it all.
done.
Do it all. It's something that I think when we were first doing our very first show, which was Northanger Abbey, we had never made a show before together. Obviously, we'd worked on other things, but we'd never made our own work. And I think when we reached these sort of hurdles and pits and troughs in that process. We were worried, and we felt like it was never gonna. We weren't sure whether we were ever gonna get there. When we performed the show, even for the very first time, we weren't sure whether we'd just made a pile of rubbish or whether we'd made something that was actually good. And I think that for anyone who is starting out doing their first piece of work, I suppose I would just say, this is real. This is what everybody, no matter how experienced, this is what they go through. Look at these pictures and just remind yourself that it's okay. It's okay to spend, however long thinking that you are hopeless and it's never going to work. You liken it to a marathon, not that neither of us have ever run a marathon.
No, sure, but you hear the thing about runners saying that you have to break through the wall at a certain point. You get to a level of exhaustion, tiredness, and you have to push through that to reach the kind of transcendental running on the other side. And it feels like a very similar idea, that you have to reach these moments of doubt and kind of carry on through that and find your way through that to get to the stuff on the other side. And having done as many shows as we've done now, you recognise it also. You recognise the value of it in questioning and reevaluating or confirming the decisions that you've made. The fact that it makes you stop and go, really, is this a good idea? Should I be doing it? Does this work at all? If you can come out the other side of that going, yes, it does, we have done the right thing, or, okay, we've exchanged that for something better, then it's been of value. It has been, something of use.
Yes, I think it's important. The whole thing is important, even though it might be painful at times. It's really important. And it gets, as much as we now, the thing is, I suppose, having done so many shows now, we can recognise all of the stages, so they no longer completely terrify us, but because we know what they are. Sometimes they do. And I think that's the difference. With experience becomes at least the sort of awareness of what you normally go through, and we can say, oh, it's okay. We've had this with all of the other shows that we've done.
Like I was saying before, you have to balance that kind of crippling anxiety that you have every time with the confidence in the background that if you keep taking the next step, you'll get there. You will make your way through it. You just have to carry on.
Yes, and sometimes I think when you really do reach a wall with something, it's important you learn to do things practically, like, well, put that thing aside for one moment and move on to something that's really simple, straightforward, that I know what I'm doing with. Do that for a moment and then come back to the thing that you were banging your head against the wall for after. So there's sort of strategies that you start to develop, but with time and with experience. But if you are doing something for the first time, you were saying earlier, Instagram and all those sort of social media things can be intimidating on the one hand, because you do see the rose-tinted version of everyone's creative process. However,
and these beautiful production shots or beautiful things that have been made, but in some ways it's nice when it gets used for the flip side of that. It's nice when people reach out to each other and ask, how do you do this, or how do you get through this, or I'm struggling with this. And we're very open to that. We've been very much appreciated in the past, the help that we've had from other people, from other companies, from other artists, from other people who've been able to give us advice. And if we can pay that forward, and
absolutely,
whenever anybody asks us for help or advice on anything, we're more than happy to give that, because there's no need to kind of suffer alone.
No, we're all going through the same thing, but it's all good. I think that's the other important thing. Even when it feels like it's really bad, it's actually all really, as you were saying, it's really important and worth going through, because in the end, you will reap the rewards in the end. Yeah,
I would be more concerned, I think, if we started creating something and we were just happy with it all the way through and went, this is great, this is the best.
Yeah, so we hadn't really questioned anything.
I would have a little worry inside me that went, well, have we really re-examined this? Have we really kind of thought about this?
You need a bit of existential dread, I think, setting in at some point.
That's the moral of the story.
That is the moral of the story. So next week we're going into a week of research and development on the show, which we're really looking forward to. I think it's the right time for that.
Yes.
For us to sort of start to work on some of the little set pieces that might happen. What we really try to do with those kind of weeks is any idea is worth exploring. Yeah. We don't judge anything. We just try and have no bad ideas. Have a play. So that's what we'll be doing next week.
Yeah. So if you've made it this far, hopefully it's made sense. and hopefully, if you are making anything, hopefully it's kind of inspired you or resonated with you in some way. If you've watched it all, thank you very much. Please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment if you can. It helps us reach more people with these videos. And we'll see you next time when we're going to show you some of the costume and the set and stuff like that, as we said. Otherwise, thanks for watching.
Thank you.